Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to be talking about why your bowel movements are incomplete and how to have relieving complete bowel movements effortlessly and daily. So no matter how often you are having bowel movements, even if it's every day, if they are incomplete, if you don't feel like you're getting everything out, if you have that feeling like stools are still stuck at the end and they just won't come out, if you get little like rabbit pellet like poops that are just very small and hard or rocky. This is not all the time, but it's very often. If your abdomen just feels all backed up, or you only are passing a small amount of stools, this is because you're constipated. Even if you're going every day, if you're not getting everything out every day, then you are constipated. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about what causes this type of constipation. And then I'm also going to go over 10 changes for you to start making today in order to fix this at the root and start having those complete relieving bowel movements effortlessly and daily. So what I'm going to share with you allowed me to overcome my 10 years of chronic constipation, and it has also helped my constipated clients to go from being really chronically constipated to having relieving full bowel movements every day in about 6 to 12 weeks. So one of my clients, Peter, had 5 years of constipation, and he went to having 2 complete bowel movements every single day after just 6 weeks of working together. Another one of my clients, Mary, went from having 3 to 4 bowel movements a week to having 5 to 7 complete bowel movements a week in just 2 months of working together. So these work really well, and they actually work relatively quick. So before we get too far into this video, I want to let you guys know that next Friday, that is May 31st, I'm going to be holding a free live training that is all about how to have complete bowel movements effortlessly and daily. So you're definitely going to get a lot of info in this video, but the training will be more like 45 minutes to an hour. So I'm going to go even more in depth in the strategies that I share in this video in that training. And there's also going to be a few other bonus things in that I'm not sharing today. So if after this video you want to learn even more about how to have complete bowel movements, definitely check out the description, and there's going to be a link down there to sign up to join that live training. So let's get into everything. So first, what causes incomplete bowel movements? I talked about this before. It's constipation. So a little more elaborate. What's going on here is your stools are too large and they're too compacted. So if you do have those little small rocky rabbit pellet poops, it's because your stools have gotten so compacted and dried out from staying in your colon so long. One thing that happens in your colon is water is taken out of your stools and reabsorbed into your body. So when you're constipated and your stools are sitting there for a long time, a lot of water gets reabsorbed and it makes your stools very dry. So those little rocks you're seeing, or pellets, are happening because they're breaking off of that larger stool that's just sitting in there. So you're not getting the bulk out, you're just getting little pieces. So that's one thing that can happen. Another thing is if you're too stressed to complete your bowel movements, or you're not giving your body enough time to complete them, that is another thing that can lead to them being incomplete. Also, if you've been backed up for so long, you're just stuck in a cycle of stools being way too large to get out, and that prevents other stools from getting out, so it just backs you up more and more and more and more. That's another thing that could be happening here. And then another thing that can be happening is you're eating a diet that puts so much extra waste into your colon, or you're just not digesting your food properly. So you have all this extra waste that's trying to get out. So it's just jamming up and it's just too much for your colon to handle. Now let's talk about how to reverse this at the root. So what we need to do is we need to increase the mobility of your stools so that they move through your colon faster. They don't get compacted, they don't get large, they don't get dry, they don't get too big, So they're moving through efficient enough so it's not creating this big traffic jam of stools. This will just make them softer and easier to pass and help keep you in that routine of having those regular bowel movements. But how do you do that? So the very first thing I have for you is to have a relaxing bowel movement routine. This is something that I am a huge fan of because it's one of the things that made the biggest difference for me in overcoming my constipation. If you are in stressed go, go, go mode all the time, you're not giving your body a chance to relax and have a bowel movement. Our anus is a sphincter, and you have to be relaxed in order for sphincters to open. So it's very, very key that you have this time where you are truly relaxed and you're sitting on the toilet and you're not rushed and you're giving your body the opportunity to go. Now, ideally, you want to line these up with your urges. So if you have a very predictable time that you have an urge, for a lot of people, this is in the morning. Some people, it's after they wake up. Sometimes it's after breakfast, after coffee. You'll often have a time you tend to go. It could be the afternoon too. You could have two, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. But if you know your time, you typically go, this is where you want to put that routine. Now, if you don't know what time, you're just going to have to pick one, but do the best you can to align it with your urges. So even if it's been years since you've had good urges, what time was it years ago when you were having those? That's where you want to put this. And anytime you ever have an urge, you do want to give yourself the opportunity to go, because if you continue to ignore urges, they will start to go away. Now, what this should look like is at least 10 minutes. 15, maybe even 20 is better, but it should be 10 minutes of you sitting on the toilet, giving your body the opportunity to go, not stressing about having to go now. Not even thinking about it is ideal. So you can do something else. You can read a book, you can look up an article, you can research recipes, whatever you want to do that's relaxing, do that. Something that's been helpful for me too is making sure I'm doing something productive, because sometimes it can be hard to sit down and give yourself the chance to go because you feel like you have so many things you have to do. So if there's something that you need to be doing that you can do while you're going, just do that. And sometimes that'll help a lot too. The key here is you want to be giving yourself the opportunity to go and not putting too much pressure on yourself, and having this every day. So if you're in a routine of regularly having urges, time this with your urges. That's going to be way more successful. If you're not and you don't get any urges, pick your time that's most likely. Maybe it's after breakfast, and after breakfast every day, just give your body that chance to go, and it'll start to teach your body that's a good time to go. One more thing here, you don't want to be stressed and like in a rush. So don't make this like 10 minutes before you have to go out the door to go to work or go to school. That just will not work well. If you have to work early, find a way to fit this into your schedule. So maybe you can wake up earlier. Maybe you can develop going in the afternoon instead, but it's really key that you find something that works for your schedule. So let's move on to the next one. The second one is to cut back on fiber. Now, this is because fiber is going to be a lot of excess waste. We cannot digest fiber, I guess, because we can't break it down enough to be able to absorb the components of fiber into our body. So fiber is always going to come out in our stools, at least insoluble fiber. All of it will. Soluble, it's a little bit, but most of it. Anyway, so the majority of fiber that we ingest comes out in our stools. So if we are packing in tons and tons of fiber, that is just adding so much more bulk to our stools. And if we're already backed up, we're already having trouble getting everything out, we don't want to add any more. It's basically like if you are in a traffic jam and there's way too many cars on the freeway and it's backing everything up and it's taking everyone so long to get everywhere. Adding more fiber is like, hey, let's add like 100 more cars to this freeway right now. It's not going to work well. So really cut back on your fiber. Just don't go crazy on nuts, grains, seeds, legumes, raw veggies, or any really high fiber foods. For fibers, it's going to be better to pick fruit. That just tends to work better for constipation. So focus more on getting a little bit of fiber from fruit and not so much from like grains and seeds and nuts and legumes. So the third is to eat an ancestral diet. Now, I talk about this a lot, but basically eating like our ancestors did, eating nose to tail, eating whole animal, focusing more on animal foods, properly preparing our plant foods. So sprouting, soaking, toasting, fermenting plant foods, even just cooking our veggies is going to make them easier to digest, and consuming fermented foods, consuming seafood, dairy, just eating very natural, nourishing, healthy foods. And this is also going to produce a lot less waste, so it won't back you up as much. An ancestral diet has a nice amount of fat to help kind of lubricate your stools as well. And also it is mineral rich to help balance the water retention in your stools to make sure that they don't get too dry. So this is going to be really helpful. Fourth is to exercise. This is another one. Well, honestly, all of these helped me so much, but this is another huge one for me. So ideally, you want something slightly more intense. For example, I did ballet for a very long time, and that it didn't really get things moving enough to be able to help or make as much of a noticeable difference for me. But when I moved to weightlifting and running, that was just more intense. It really helped move things better, and it really helped me get my urges back and boost my metabolism and just help my digestive health overall. So I do recommend doing something a little more intense than like just yoga or walking. But if you have really bad issues and it's kind of hard to get into exercise at the moment, those are much better than doing nothing at all. But in general, just moving your body is going to help move things in your colon as well. Now, the fifth thing is to stay hydrated and to get your minerals in. Now, drinking water alone will not fix constipation. It's just not enough the vast majority of the time. However, it is still something that is important because, like I was saying, your stools get very dry when you're constipated, and it is important to have enough water. But water isn't the only thing that hydrates us. It's really important that we have minerals in our water. That's what's going to allow us to retain water. So you want to make sure you're getting enough magnesium and other minerals like that so that you're actually retaining the water. So you can add a pinch of salt to your water. You can take bone broth. You can do milk. You can do juice, anything like that. Aloe water, aloe juice, coconut water, all of those are awesome hydrating beverages. Even just eating fruit is really hydrating as well. If you want, you can try taking a magnesium supplement. It's not something you need to do by any means, but if you do want to, you can take something like that Natural Calm Magnesium, which is a magnesium citrate. If you are taking something like that, make sure you get the plain version because they can add some kind of funky ingredients to the flavored ones. All right, so the sixth one is going to be to reduce stress. I think I talked about this a lot earlier, but pretty much if you're stressed, you're not going to be able to relax and have a bowel movement. So it's really important to find ways to decrease stress. The seventh is to do the I love you massage, and it is called that because of the shape. You make an I, an L, and a U over your colon to help move stuck stools. And it's also used in babies to relieve gas, so you might have heard of it there before. But it's really helpful for just kind of breaking up stuck stools and moving them along. If you are doing enemas, you can do this massage at the same time as your enema, and the combination of the pressure of you pushing on your colon and stools and the water on the inside will really help break them up. If you want to learn how to do the I love you massage for relieving constipation, I'll link a video I have up here. So the eighth thing is to increase digestion as a whole. So I like to say that if any part of your digestive system is not working correctly, it's going to pass the burden on to the next. So your constipation could be caused by something way up higher in your digestive tract. It all starts with chewing your food thoroughly. If you don't chew your food thoroughly and you're kind of swallowing big hunks, now your stomach has a harder time breaking it down. If your stomach acid is weak and it doesn't break food down as well, you have larger chunks moving into your small intestine and you're not going to get all the nutrients out of those. And then if you're not getting as much nutrients out of your food, your large intestine is going to have a lot more waste that it has to dispose of, and you can get constipation. So that is a huge part. You really want to make sure you are getting every part of your digestive system to work. I have a whole video about improving your digestive health, so I'll link that above if you want to check it out. All right, so the ninth thing is to do an enema or a colonic. If you're not familiar with an enema, basically you get a bucket and a tube and you fill it with coffee or water or tea. You use very specific solutions and you insert the tube into your butt and then you let the water or tea or coffee flow into your colon to just loosen everything up, and then you release this into the toilet and it helps you to relieve stuck stools. Colonic is kind of similar, except for you go to a place and have someone do this for you, and there's a little bit more involved in that. So I think they do certain massages on your colon to help relieve things as well. So depends on what you prefer. This is totally optional. You do not have to do this at all, but if you want to, it can be a really good option, especially if your cause of your incomplete bowel movements is just a large hunk of stuck stools. By flushing everything out and starting over and really sticking to your good habits, it can kind of give you a clean slate and just be really, really helpful. So that is a great option. One note, you do not want to do those all the time. Max like once a week for a few months, maybe twice a week for a small amount of time, but you don't want to continuously do these, and you definitely don't want to do them every day. I have heard of people that have become so dependent on enemas to have bowel movements because their colon muscles have just gotten weaker and weaker. So this is not going to happen if you do it every once in a while, but you don't want to do it every day is my point. So then the 10th thing is to just do any little tricks that helps you. So I'm going to share some that I've gotten from my clients in the past, just different things that have helped them to overcome their constipation. So one has been drinking juices, particularly apple, cranberry, or a combination of those with beetroot as well. Stewed apples, prunes, drinking like hot water with ginger, lemon, or apple cider vinegar, and a little bit of salt, especially first thing in the morning. Having mustard seeds, having magnesium, taking triphala or Casca sangrata or slippery elm, and then also coffee. So if you have any other little tricks, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear your other little tricks for constipation. But any little thing that you found that helps you, you can try some of those. Everybody's a little bit different. Coffee is definitely one that has helped me a lot too. There's some interesting studies on that as well. But any little trick you have, go for it. If it's helping. The one thing I'd caution though is don't do a bunch of heavy laxatives because you'll become dependent on them, and that can cause a lot of problems in the long run. But as long as they're little natural things, that is awesome. So those are my tips, and I just wanted to remind you guys that next Friday I'm hosting that free live training on how to have complete bowel movements effortlessly and daily. So I'm going to be going even more in depth into the strategies I shared with you today, and I'm also going to be sharing some bonus strategies that I did not share in this video. So you're really going to get a lot of new information and so many more tools to help you overcome your constipation and have those daily bowel movements. This is going to be jam-packed full of a lot of really, really helpful info. So if you want to overcome your constipation and you want more tools to help you, definitely sign up for that. There is a link down below in the description where you can sign up to join the live training. It's going to be at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. That's in the US. And if you can't make the time, still sign up, because I'm going to send out a replay to everybody who signed up so you can always watch it afterwards if you can't make the live time. So thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you at the live training. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking, subscribing, commenting. All of that helps me out a lot, and I really, really appreciate it. And if you want to learn even more about overcoming constipation, check out this playlist that I'll put on the screen now. Thanks for watching.